My name is Connie Van Horn. I've started in 2011 and I'm doing my PGCE in secondary citizenship.
My name is Elias and I started last year, 2011. I'm doing PGCE MFL secondary.
My name is Victoria Radio and I'm studying a PGCE in PE.
Jim Ralston and I'm doing a PGCE in secondary English.
I'm Vicky Wright and I'm studying a PGCE PE currently.
We were encouraged to use Mahara to keep a journal mainly of what our experiences were like on the course and whilst we were doing our school experience. And it was encouraged to be used as a reflective tool, so to talk about what we'd done, how we felt about it, how that changed our learning, what our experiences were. And the more we were on school experience and things like that, the more we could upload documents and various things like that that we'd used whilst out on teaching experience.
We were asked to use it to basically be able to keep our tutors informed of what was going on whilst we were on our placements, and also as a way for us to prove that we could reflect on our daily happenings and what we learned from the things that we've done in the day.
I really like the elements of Mahara that allow you to record on a daily basis or on every couple of days things that you've experienced to help you in your reflective practicing. I think that it's a really positive thing because often sometimes a few days later you might forget what's actually happened, a situation with a pupil or something that you've learned or something you've learned about yourself. After a period of time you might forget about that or the intensity of that. So for a tool it's a really useful thing to be getting done.
The features of Mahara that I've used are, say, I'd always use the journals to say what's going on in the day. I've added videos when we've been in uni to show practical sessions and images every day to make it a little bit more interesting.
I liked the features where you could upload videos and pictures because I think that just can make things a little bit more interesting and it makes it brighter, and sometimes a picture can explain exactly what you're trying to say. And I liked the use of the journals because I liked it that you could link them together into groups so you knew exactly where everything was.
For me, Mahara, the best of everything is I can check how my classmates are doing in MFL because it's very difficult to communicate during the placement. We are very busy, but I can go and see how they're solving or coping with certain problems. And that's the best for me. It's
been, for me, really useful in terms of being able to keep a record of what I'm doing, sort of like a professional record, but also being able to reflect on what I've learned and what I've done, because as you're typing it out and as you're thinking about, oh yeah, I did that and this is how I felt about that, and because it's that mix of professional journal but it's almost like blogging as well, you don't feel afraid to put your own opinions in there on how you felt. So it's a really good way to sort of analyse your feelings about things on what can be quite sort of an emotional course really at times.
I use Mahara on the odd occasion to communicate with friends, particularly for our poster group that we were using. We used Mahara to do that. Often used Mahara to share files or best practice and resources that we've got. Which was a good way of doing it, but obviously there was other ways we used it as well.
I did use it to communicate with my friends in the sense that I read their journals and I would comment quite a lot on what they were doing and also steal some ideas, which is always good.
I don't really use it to communicate with my friends, so to speak, but my friends tend to communicate with me, leaving me messages all the time, so I have to get back to them.
I would suggest anyone who is using it just to have a go at everything, just click the buttons and see what happens, because you can't really break it, you can't do anything wrong, you can undo pretty much anything that you've done to it, so if you're not sure, just try it, give it a go, it's quite straightforward.
My main advice for Mahara for new students would be get it done from the word go. Within your first induction week you're still learning and it's a vertical learning curve, just doing your PGCE obviously as a mature student. But I do think that it's really make it a priority to get it done straight away and kind of stay on top of it, because when you let it slip the catch up is very different and it's very difficult to remember things that you've done from way back if you don't stay on top of it.
I'd say for your reflection of the day, do it as soon as you can, so as soon as the end of the school day or maybe on a free period. Just get it done in that time, it's fresh in your mind and you're more likely to just remember exactly what you've done, and then it's done for the day, and it is a relief when you think, it's done. So yeah, do find time to fit it in, because if you don't do it on the day, then it'll back up and it does take a while to sort of remember stuff if you don't do it straight away.
I mean, what I've started to do in this second placement, coming up to the end now, I'm super busy applying for jobs and everything else, but there is, for example, with journals, like I say, that I use it for the most, there's a draft option, so you can sort of type in, for example today, I was like, I've got 5 minutes, I'll quickly type up what I've done so far this week, draft, so it's not published to everyone, but I know I've done it, and then I can come back to it later, finish off the week, and then take the draft off so it's published to everyone, and you can come back to it and edit it and add files at so many different times. So it's really helpful in that way, where if it was a written document or something else where you'd feel you have to do it in a completed format, you can just sort of come to it when you need to and sort of pick and choose how you use it, so it's really flexible in that way. So yeah, just use it at your leisure, as a sort of tool as and when you can.
My advice is, a problem I had is, because I started late, I had to catch up. Much better to have discipline from the very first week. And if you don't have time to complete Mahara for whatever reason, try to have your own notebook, taking notes, so whenever you have some spare time, you can pass it into Mahara.
Well, like I said, the journal aspect of it is what we use. I mean, you can set up lots of different journals for different parts of the course. So that is the feature that we used. But there are other things you can do with that, so you can upload files sort of attached to that, which is really helpful. For example, if you want to say, oh, well, this lesson plan, for example, worked particularly well, you can attach that at the bottom, so that was a really useful feature. Something I started doing on the placement I'm on now is taking pictures of students' work and attaching that as to back up what you're saying, so it's a really helpful way to collect all your information. And now when you start to come to put together QTS folders and things like that, just taking printouts from your Mahara journal and using that evidence that you've collated there digitally can go into your QTS folder as standard, so it sort of covers two aspects as well, so it's really helpful.
Okay, advice-wise, I'd say with Mahara, keep up to date every day, because otherwise you forget what you've done, and use it to your best of your ability, because obviously when you come back it's a great tool for reflection and knowing what you've got up to, and obviously your tutors can see how you're getting on and if they need to intervene and help you out.
I would say don't give up, just use it, because if you didn't have Mahara you'd have to do it on paper form anyway, which would probably take even longer because you'd have to print it out, put it in a file, plastic wallets. It is an easy to use thing once you do get the hang of it, and you basically just type, save, and it's on there already, and everything can be grouped together, you can organise your pages, and yeah, it is really useful, so just use it to its potential. Well, the first time we had our introduction of Mahara, it was just the most mind-boggling thing that could ever happen, and I just didn't have a clue what was going on. But we went away individually and sort of just looked at it, had a move with things, clicked on things didn't work, and slowly but surely managed to work it out. And then within our PGCE group we managed to tell each other how we could do stuff if one person was better at something else, and we just basically helped each other, and it was just a case of seeing what happens when you click somewhere or move something, and if it works, if it doesn't work, give it. And that was it.
We were given a few sessions. We had a couple of sessions where they taught us how to use different aspects of it, which were quite brief, and then I know there were tutorial videos and things put on there. I personally found it quite intuitive. It's fairly straightforward to use. I did have to help some other people out on using it and how to do certain things with it, so if you're quite IT savvy you'll find it really easy. If you're not so IT savvy, it's not difficult, but you might need to use the tutorials, or you might need to ask someone for a bit of help possibly. I mean, the videos that are on there are are really good.
Yeah, you kind of do it. I say, like, again, like, it's better through you having a go yourself rather than being told, because we got told about Mahara, but I found that you learn more through doing it yourself and fiddling around and seeing the different things you can use.
For me, it has been really helpful to, like I say, keep a record of what I've done, to be able to reflect on what I'm doing, on my progress, where I need to make progress, keep a lot of information together in one place that otherwise would have been scattered all over the place. And I think it's got a lot of potential as well. I mean, things that I haven't used it for example, there's a way you can use it to make CVs and things, which is something I'd have liked to have done if I'd had time to, but obviously maybe at the end of my course I've got the chance to do that, so it's really useful tool.